Renewal Cape ANC chairperson Oscar Mabuyane has warned MPs from his province who intend voting against the party mandate on the Phala Phala report to consider the consequences. He joins us now for more. Prima, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us today here on In Focus. What is the mood today in the Renew 2020 camp? Is there apprehension about the vote tomorrow?
Thank you very much, Tavo. Good evening to you, and good evening to the viewers of Focus. Thanks for having me. Any apprehension? We are in another terrain of struggle in Parliament. Politics are at play to ensure that our country moves forward. So all members of the Parliament, particularly those who are from the governing party, the ANC, know very well what does it mean to be in Parliament. They are not just there because it's a career. They are there to make sure that we advance the national democratic revolution using that terrain of struggle. So it's important that we seize the moment at any content and they play at the color of the opposition. So I don't really think that the comrades, they are really under pressure on anything. The leadership there is equal to the task, from the chief whip to the speaker of the parliament. So comrades are free to do their work. They know very well that they are there because they are revolutionaries. They are there to make sure that the revolution continues and our country moves forward.
Now, there are, of course, members of that National Assembly who have already spoken out publicly, for example, in support of the report by the panel, who are saying, well, they will be voting for the impeachment inquiry to go ahead. Now, when you read the statement, and you'll tell us if this is how you meant it, that those who are intending to vote against the party mandate on the Phala Phala report should consider consequences. Is that not something that would be considered a threat to those who might want to vote differently because of what their conscience tells them?
Not really a threat. It's just a reminder, a very polite reminder that why are you in Parliament? South Africans have voted ANC into power. There will always be the party line. So if there's a party line given as guidance, with the organization having applied its mind, you can't really entertain the individualism into that, and obviously at that level you can't even expect that there will be some element of loose cannons. So it doesn't really apply. So I can't even fathom how does it arise that at that apex level of deployment you will have such kind of characters doing that. So it's really unfortunate if something that has happened. It should not really be allowed. Probably should not even be taking it serious. It will be wrong even at any given epoch if there are such kind of situation when the ANC is faced with such a difficult moment. There will be people who go out and talk about their conscience. They are very much conscious that they are there because there is a particular program we are driving to transform this country. So yes, conscience is what always important to guide and also activate people's level of consciousness. So, but it's important in this case that they are not there as individuals. They are there to make sure that policies and the guiding principles and instruction of the ANC that is deployed them, whatever that the ANC want to achieve, that is actually looked after to its logical conclusion. So, from where I'm seated, surely we should be condemning that kind of tendency, because we can't really create space for individuals to portray themselves to that level and even create impression that they can be equal or even above the ANC as an organization. So we are expecting a caucus of the ANC to exercise the maximum discipline on the party line, whatever that they will be guided on by the leadership of the ANC. Yeah. Yes, of course, we're talking to our members from our province to national party list that they must not forget that people of Eastern Cape expect so much from them, and it's important that they always exercise that vigilance of jealously looking after the revolution. So we are really expecting something much better on that, and it's important that the ANC respects the electorate and also the mandate we have.
So there are some who are saying, for example, that guidance, as you put it, from the ANC leadership national coming out of the NEC smells of factionalism, in a sense that those who are, for example, on the side of the president, they muscled that NEC to come to this decision to say we will not go and support this particular report. And so it, in a sense, disregards rules of oversight, it disregards even revolutionary morality in some instances, others are arguing, and even political consciousness. I mean, is there such a thing? For example, I mean, it's reported that you are one of those from the province who convinced the president not to resign because you are confident that you will protect him in that NEC that was to sit that week as the president was considering his resignation, which in a sense says you already knew that you could manipulate the decision of that NEC in the favor of whatever it is that your particular faction is calling for.
You are using very harsh words. I'm not sure how one can really manipulate an NEC decision. An NEC meets over a considerable period of time. It engages on matters as appear on the agenda. And most of the time, almost all NEC members are given an opportunity to raise their hands and raise issues in the NEC. And because the ANC is a democratic organization, the majority view will forever prevail. Yes, I'm not sure. Yes, you are correct. There will never be morality or revolutionary morality where there are factions. But we have a collective leadership in the form of the NEC, which actually is characterized by divergent views. Because we are not one, we are individuals that make up that collective. That's why we discuss issues. And there is no way that there could be any individual to manipulate the NEC decisions. Just like any other structure, even the PEC from where I'm sitting. So NEC engages on that. We go to the NEC as ex-official member. Every after NEC meeting, there will be a statement issued by the national office. The NEC statement articulates the decisions informed by the majority view in the meeting. So there can't be any even suggestion of manipulating the NEC. You can only manipulate if you sit there in your place and you wake up tomorrow, make a statement without calling anyone. So in this case, there would have been meetings of the NEC after NEC meetings following each other consecutively. So there have been a fairly ample time for us engaging on such matters. So the discussion, the president is president of the ANC and, before he became the president of the country. And yes, he has got that high regard, the constitutional obligation to be the one that every citizen is looking up to. So the issue of the president engaging and consulting on any matter at his disposal also cannot be viewed or cannot be actually seeing certain individuals being elevated. The president would have been talking to a number of people around the issue of the panel report when it was out. So as a provincial leader, like any other provincial leaders, surely the president would have actually touched base and all that. So we're engaging on the matter and we're looking at issues differently. So it's not a question of us having convinced. President has made up his mind, has taken his decision, having consulted a number of comrades, leaders, and even those who are not even elected, matter to the best interest of the country and the best interest of the African National Congress. So we really don't want to take the credit, which is not really due.
All right. No, I mean, you should take credit, though, for what you said in your part in convincing the president to stay. I mean, did you tell the president that it would be reckless for him to resign at that time and would set bet precedents for the president to resign? And why would you have said that?
No. Obviously, I've said so. Just like many other companies would have said so. That it would be actually reckless. It would probably be really jeopardizing chances of us stabilizing the country. Yes, we've got serious political challenges in our country, and we are working hard to normalize, bring about political stability for policy certainty. So just to sleep and wake up tomorrow with such a big decision that no, the president is office on a matter that is at its initial stages, because the panel report was just suggesting the commencement of what needs to be done. So surely that would have been a premature decision for him to leave. So obviously, on engaging with to put up all those actually factors at his disposal for him to be able to make a proper decision. We respected his views very well. That president is one person who really hold the high moral ground, and for us to actually occupy that high moral ground in the society, we must actually not bury our heads in the sand when we are confronted with issues like this. We must be able to stand up and, of course, explain ourselves, because the president has been explaining himself on this, and he has actually made it very clear to everyone that is going to be cooperating, and he has been cooperating with all in the investigation. So there was no point at that time for him to really shock the country. You could see the markets were almost plummeting. So the country was generally in trouble. We are just recovering from the last two terrible years caused by COVID-19. A serious economic danger. So we've got to work very hard to turn around the socio-economic fortunes of our country, for our people to have their lives back, for our people to move forward. We're just trying to getting things better, getting momentum on that, and you just have this big decision like that. So surely it would have been reckless to the country, and we've got to put the interests of the country first, put the constitution of the country first. This country has been built over very difficult compromises and sacrifices that have been made. So we've got really to consider some of these serious decisions, not for our own interest, selfish interest, surely for the best interest of the citizens of our country. Of course, confronting all the challenges that we are exposed to, the malfeasance and all these issues, and that's the reason why we had actually to have this constitutional democracy, a country that is governed by the rule of law, and we should all be respecting that law. And the law must be the law to everyone, including president. So you can't change laws because now he's president. All of a sudden, what you would have been doing, you'll change it and do something else and put all the pressure. We've got to avoid this opportunism. It was more sort of opportunism for people who don't care about the country, who don't care about citizens, who are really looking after their own selfish interest. That's the reason why people were putting a lot of pressure on President to do, probably to think about making that, and thinking that is making things better. That would have plunged this crisis into a serious catastrophe. We're already actually in the brink of catastrophe, so we're trying to pull ourselves out of that. So some of us consciously, we looked at such kind of issues, and we thought that probably there's a need for us to reason around this matter and have a conversation to make sure that we save our country and save the interest of taking our country to a higher pedestal.
You know the normal saying, they're saying, well, you were actually not pretty much talking to protect the president, but talking to protect your own position, or singing for your supper, as it were. You saw a president resigning, limiting your prospects for being deputy president, which is what you are gunning for at conference.
I'm not sure why there will be any people thinking like that. I was never appointed by president. I was never brought by president into the ANC. I've been elected as a leader in my own right by branches of the ANC, and at no stage where have you ever heard even a president to say, please elect Comrade Oscar Mabuyane. He has never said that, and he will never say so. So branches of the ANC elect leadership, and there was no way that I would be elected because President Ramaphosa is elected. I will be elected because there is a program, in this case a renewal program, that we are all committing ourselves and dedicating our lives to make sure that ANC changes and ANC become this agent for change and the vehicle that can continue propelling the future of this country. So I don't know why some people would probably, there are any people who think like that, whether president is there or not. Because I've been nominated by branches, likely his branch in actually Johannesburg, Soweto, didn't nominate me. So those who think like that, they must at least think differently and be practical. So I'm nominated by branches, and yes, I'm in the ballot for the position of the deputy president, not because president would love to, and I don't expect him also to do that, even to nominate me. Branches of the ANC nominate leaders of the ANC, and they elect leaders of the ANC. If I'm elected, I'll be elected by branches of the ANC. If I'm nominated, yes, of course I am. I'm nominated by branches of the ANC. So there can't be confusion there. And I don't think people must disabuse themselves with that obsession of me, Mabuyane, probably being an extension. So I'm not an extension, I'm a leader on my own right.
So you don't think a resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa would have collapsed the entire Renew 2024 or 2022 campaign, which, of course, is set on the leader, that is President Cyril Ramaphosa, and those who are supporting him for a second term, those being yourself, Ronald Lamula, and the others who've been cited, Gwede Mantashe, and so on and so forth. So him resigning as, I suppose, the figurehead of that campaign would have not put your own fate at risk?
Not our own fate at risk, but of course the program itself, the renewal program. Remember, this renewal, which is now a buzzword everywhere, it has been an ongoing discussion in the ANC. Many conferences before the Nazareth conference have been discussing this. President Mandela spoke about this in 1997 when he was handing over the baton, already beginning to observe these new tendencies of scenes of incumbency, with us getting used into the state power with all the issues that emanate from state power. He actually raised these issues. President Oliver Tambo spoke about these issues even before 1994. that we are likely to hit this, we are likely to confront this situation because as an internationalist, he has been moving around the world, he has seen these things, he has seen a number of liberation movements who ascended to state power and what state power does to such if we don't really tighten up screws and put up some very strong measures to insulate your own organization from such sort of foreign tendencies. So, yes, of course, his resignation will definitely be a blow, will be very unfortunate, would have been unfortunate to the Renewal. And as I'm saying, many before conferences. But he became the only president who lifted a finger to say, we can't continue like this. We've got to stop this issue, this problem, which is becoming an order of the day in the ANC. People think that this is the ANC that we know, and people think that you can have a career that is ANC, because if you are a member of the ANC, you are likely to be privileged. You are likely to be in certain strategic position by virtue of being a member or an activist of the ANC. Sometimes not even knowing what is the ANC, as we all grow and learn the ANC with ANC, that also is adapting with time, of course, forced by the material conditions. So it caused a serious detour, really dent in the ANC, and it would have been unfortunate going to the conference when he has done such a good job, knowing very well when this decision was taken in the conference. And we said everyone must be mentally ready, psychologically ready, because everywhere we go, you will be just on the limpet mines and every mud will be thrown back. So you must be ready and you must be strong. This is what we said to condition everyone around this issue. But for us to save the ANC from us, all of us, as individual members, something drastic, something special needed to be done. So he was prepared to lead that. And we are quite thankful to have such a kind of leadership that became so actually selfless to show that we need to arrest this tendency. We need to inculcate this the new culture that is informed by the aims and objectives of the ANC. For every member of the ANC, even the new members that are joining ANC now, to understand that the ANC is not about careerism. ANC is about serving the interest of our people. It's about our country into this society that we are looking for, the National Democratic Society. The ANC is about advancing this NDR to lead us to that National Democratic Society. So he has done that. I know many other presidents would have done their part to a certain extent, but on Renewal, to put up clear measures in place to lead a difficult exercise, which of course immediately exuded the elements of fight back, which of course people realize that this is going to be very much uncomfortable. And I can tell you, you have seen how all these law enforcement agencies became very much strengthened. You look at SIU, you heard not much about these state-owned institutions, challenges. But now, because of that stance, because of that line that is in draw, and with it saying no one is protected on this, we needed to do proper work for South Africans, for this country, to be what many comrades went to exile for what many comrades lost their lives for, from all the sacrifices that we have seen. So this country cannot be allowed to go on like this. It can't be a country of kingmakers. It must be a country of patriots, with everyone playing this positive role to ensure that our country is moving forward. So you had to bring back that sense of responsibility, inculcate this culture of patriotism for everyone. But people needed to have this. ANC was already suffering from this trust deficit because people no longer trusting ANC. ANC is synonymous with every wrong things in the society, crime, corruption, and all those issues. So he is that president who stood firm, taking every risk he is coming to contact with, but to make sure that we save the ANC from us, so that we leave a legacy for the future of this country. So far, it's only the ANC. I can tell if the ANC can be out of power. You will see the crisis in this country, the crisis that we are currently experiencing in our municipalities where we've got coalition. That shows that all these other small parties have got no regard of the law. They've got no interest whatsoever. It is just about them occupying power and doing whatever they want to do. The transformation of this country can only be led effectively by.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll speak about conference in a moment. And, of course, what do you think is going to be this conference this coming Friday, and wrap up the conversation. The ANC Eastern Cape chairperson, Oscar Mabuyane. Back live with you tonight, here on In Focus, the Eastern Cape ANC chairperson, Oscar Mabuyane, also vying for the position, deputy president, as he says, nominated by the branches. He's still with us. I see a tweet here. I mean, of course, Twitter is not the real world, and sometimes it's quite difficult to also establish the authenticity of the individuals behind it. But it's a tweet that goes something like this. Something big is coming. Something we all don't expect is about to be done by agent provocateurs. They don't want the conference, but they are doing all in their powers to ensure conference becomes a festival of chairs. There is no sober-minded revolutionary that can allow this. It's the handle of Batabile Dlamini, who is the former ANC Youth League, Women's League, I beg your pardon, president. It's a worrying tweet in a sense, if it is true, to say there are some who are already predicting that this conference on Friday could possibly be uncomfortable and somewhat even turn violent because of just today. I mean, we are speaking of a court challenge on the Electoral Commission processes, others calling for transparency. You're talking about those who have been disqualified from participating, crying bullying and injustice. You're talking about those who are saying there's inconsistency in the application of the rules on who should participate and who should not participate. Do you expect that things are going to turn bad on Friday?
I don't really expect them. This is a national conference of the ANC that is going to be watched by the world with the role that the ANC is playing in changing the continent and the world. So we will be having international guests that are invited by the ANC to participate and observe in our conference. So I don't think there will be an ANC member in the right frame of mind who can just think and decide that he's going to a conference to do that. We're going to a conference as delegates that are representing our branches, our regions, and our provinces to find a solution, to really look for panacea to challenges of ESCOM, challenges of the clean water supply, challenges of high level of the joblessness, challenges of high levels of unemployment, poverty, and inequalities. This conference is about that. If we focus on those issues, we'll be definitely talking to the National Democratic Revolution. If we solve such problems, we will actually be moving with speed towards the National Democratic Society. So there is no way. That will be very unfortunate because now everyone can be a member of the ANC, but there is no ANC member in the right frame of mind can think of that. Yes, there is forever an agitation for discontent. You will forever be expecting that. There are people who think that ANC is them. There's nothing ANC without them. Because ANC has created careers for many of us who don't have careers. After 28 years, when the ANC has opened the doors of learning in our country, for everyone to should have gone to school, at least you have a career. When you come to ANC, you must know that you are coming here to volunteer, to sacrifice. You can be privileged for any strategic deployment, but you can't come and create a career. So all those careers that think like that and think that there is no life without ANC, and if you are not in deployment, ANC must collapse because you want to be in charge and in control. There is no space for that. We're going to confront and deal with such tendency. Branches, the delegates of the ANC are psychologically ready for that. We know we go there and other people will just delay the conference, not to adopt credentials. When ANC has actually done a thorough job or observing its due process, allowing internal processes to really resolve every issue. So the Electoral Commission has been out there explaining the procedures and processes. The National Executive Committee has adopted all these guiding rules, all these guidelines. There's nothing new. So you can't expect such recklessness from any member or a leader of the ANC. If it happens, it will be unfortunate. I know even in the policy conference, there was an attempt to disrupt and collapse it. Such elements failed. Even this time around, such elements will be failed. ANC will emerge in this conference stronger than before. Come January, ANC going to its January 8th celebration, it will be looking for the 2024 election, launching its campaign for the leadership to hit the ground running and really attend and look directly to the challenges that are affecting South Africans. Not this game, the people entertaining factions. No, such elements are going to be squeezed out. You see, they will understand that ANC is not a recreational zone. If you want to play, you must go and find another recreational zone elsewhere and play. Here, we are here to make sure that we help our people and solve the challenges that our people are going through. That's what ANC was formed, to unite people of this country, unite them beyond parameters of race, gender, to ensure the democratic dispensation in our country for its prosperity. Political school for every member who has never been in a conference to learn something better, to know ANC better, so that when you come back, you share such experience with such kind of an educational exposure you will have. So we can't really be playing with that and entertain such elements. The conference is going to continue, and people must respect that.
I appreciate your time, Prima. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. Chairperson of the ANC in the Eastern Cape Province, Oscar Mabuyane.